Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 23rd of July 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos. And I believe you can find those useful. Also, what you could find useful is the research page here on our JFD Bank website. Where you can have a look at different analyses that we do on a daily basis. So feel free to check us out here as well. Right, first let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. Now I talked about this one this morning, and basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this downside resistance line, and of course this support level here as well, but it was mainly this downside line. So we had a nice perfect break of that line, and you can see that the index traveled higher, also managed to break this this barrier that we were looking at, the 7,590 level. So it broke into the upside, but looking at this 4-hour chart right now, you can see that the 4-hour candle is kind of struggling to stay above this level. So for now, we're just going to continue observing this. If, for example, we see a daily close today above this 7,590 level, this increases the chances for FTSE 100 to travel further up here. We will aim for the so far the highest point of July, the 7,622 zone, and if that fails to withhold, of course, higher levels are possible, but for now let's just keep it short and simple. For now, let's see how it's gonna end up trading around the 7,590 level. If it stays above it, then that's good news for the bulls, for the buyers, and we could see this one pushing further up. Now even if, let's say, if it stays somewhere around here, or maybe just slightly below the 7,590 level, in a way, as long as it remains above this downside line, still the buyers do have a small chance for pushing this one further up here, and we could see maybe something like this curving up, where we could see another test of this downside line, but this time from above, and we could see this one maybe pushing back to the upside. But again, for now, continue monitoring this 7,590 level. Let's see where the daily candle is going to close. If it's even let's say if it stays, or shouldn't use the word stays, but if it closes below this downside resistance line, then, well, I mean, maybe not all is good here in the buyer's block, and we could maybe see this one sliding back to the downside. So, but for now, all eyes are on this area right here where the index is currently set at. DXY, also I've talked about this one this morning, and basically looking at this one, I mean, we managed to hit the 97.60 level, and this is what I was talking about. Basically, we were trading already kind of slightly above this 97.45, and the index continued traveling. It hit our target, this 97.60, but as you can see, it continues to push higher. The only thing is that this, for now, we're not going to rush into this one, because we want to see how how this is going to close, how today's daily candle is going to close. If it's going to stay above this, then yep, probably more upside could be on in line here. We could see more upside, let's put it that way, and we could then aim for this 97.77 or 80 zones that I was talking about previously. In terms of if it stays below this 97.60 level, we may see a small correction here back down. So in a way, something similar like with the FTSE 100, I mean, similar curve. We could see this one sliding back down a little bit, maybe testing the 97.45 zone, and if it, let's say, for example, holds, then we could see another push higher from here. For us, let's say, to aim for lower levels here, ideally we would like to see a drop below this downside line, and ideally a drop below this 97.2625 zone here, and only then we will aim for lower areas. For now, any move lower could be seen as a temporary correction before another leg of buying, but like I said, if it suddenly drops below this downside line again and the 97.25 zone, then, well, I mean, the downside could be on the table, could be back on the table. US oil, which is WTI oil. Now I've looked at this one, and I've looked at this one yesterday, and I kept talking about this downside line. As you can see, this line kind of continues to hold the price down. It's currently just sitting just slightly below this line, and in a way, even if we see a nice good push above this, then yeah, of course this kind of helps the buyers here, but the only thing is that just for that better confirmation, a break above this 57.06 zone, approximately around there, could in a way open the path towards higher levels. Initially we will target this little level right here near the 58.34-35 zone, but if that fails to withhold, then our next target will be around the 59.17 area, which is marked by the low of the 15th of July. So long story short, basically, in terms of the upside, even if we see a push above this downside line, be very careful. This little territory here, be very careful with it, because in a way we could see this one pushing higher, getting held here near this 57.06 level, and then sliding back down. So in a way, this would confirm, on a shorter time frame, this would confirm a somewhat of a double top here, and we could see this one maybe moving back to the downside. But again, this is just an idea, speculation. For now, keep your eyes on this downside line, and like I said, if we get a nice push to the upside, the kind of the breaking point for us here would be around the 57.06-05 zone, something like that here. If we see a nice good close above this level, then yep, we will aim for slightly higher levels. In terms of the downside, as I've mentioned yesterday, it's a more conservative approach here, because we will wait for a clear break below the 54.97, so in a way below the 55 zone, or ideally below the 54.80 area, something like that here, and only then we will aim for lower areas, because this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and yep, we could, like I said, aim for the slightly lower areas. EURGBP, now a bit of a roller coaster ride here today. So Boris Johnson is the winner, and initially in the morning we had a nice push in the pound. I mean, the pound was under buying interest, under a selling interest, but then when Boris kind of started, it was actually an hour before the announcement, the pound started picking up, and after he was announced he's going to be the prime minister, I mean, the pound started pushing further up and against its major counterparts, but right now it's kind of this Boris buying activity kind of is fading off right now, and you can see that the EURGBP, for example, is pushing back above its pivot. So today's pivot line, which is around the 0.8980. Now, of course, for us, as I've mentioned previously, when we were looking at EURGBP, this little territory for us is going to be somewhat of a neutral one. We're going to continue observing the price action here and continue observing some of these key potential breakout points. So in a way, if we see a push above the 0.90 level, then it could travel higher. It could then the next area of resistance could be around the 0.90 13, 15 zone, something like that. But if it, let's say for example, it travels to the downside here and breaks this 0.8955 zone, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting, because what I also wanted to kind of share you, this is just an idea, something for you guys to keep in mind. Maybe well, you'll be the judge, but something like this basically that could be forming here on Euro GBP. So it could be a potential head and shoulders formation here. So something like this basically, where we could see let me just adjust this very quickly. There we go. So we could see something like this basically, where the this could be the right shoulder right now, but then again, I mean, it's too early to kind of speculate on this, because we would need to see a nice good break here below the 0.8955, because this would be the neckline of the formation, of the potential formation, of course. So that's why, just for now, this is just an idea. I mean, this is something for you just to keep in mind. Let's say if we see a push below the 0.8955, because like I said, this level for us is still the important one, because we need to see a break below this before we could target lower areas, and until the kind of the pair is trading within this little range, we are going to remain somewhat neutral. Jumping into GBPUSD, this is quite interesting as well. So this is what I was talking earlier about. We had initial push here higher. It almost tested today's pivot, but as you can see, quickly kind of slid back down and is now currently balancing around this 1.2440 zone. So also, some probably could start saying that, oh, maybe we have an inverse head and shoulders formation here, but to be honest, I mean, this is a bit of a difficult one, and it's, to be honest, not a very clear one as well. So that's why for now we're just going to continue observing some of our key areas, key support, potential breakout points. So the area that we're going to be monitoring carefully will be this one right here. So this is the potential breakout point for the downside. If we see a drop below the 1.2395 or the 1.2382 zone 80, then yep, we will aim for lower levels, because this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and the GBPUSD pair could be sliding further down. But again, for now, be very careful. For now, we're going to remain somewhat neutral, because if this decides to push back to the upside here, now this is the level for us, the 1.2480 zone. This is when we will start considering higher levels. If we see a push above this level, I mean higher levels, I mean in the very short term, because still overall, as you can see, we're still trading below this downside resistance line. So in a way, if we see a push back above the 1.2480, yeah, we could see some movement to the upside, but initially it could be just classed as a little recovery. So that's why up until here, if we see a push higher up until this downside line, I mean, this could be could be classed as a recovery, because if this line holds again, we may see another round of selling. So for now, that's why I suggest for the bulls not to get their hopes up too early. But again, we could see a bit of higher levels if we see a push above this area right here near the 1.2480, and then we'll take it from there. And last pair for this session, that's going to be the euro dollar. This one is under fire, and this is what I was talking about this morning, basically. This morning. This is what I was talking about yesterday in the morning. There we go. And basically, we needed this break here below the 1.1190 in order to kind of consider further declines. Also, what I was mentioning, that the 1.1180 also that level for just better confirmation. Also for those who are more maybe on the cautious side, this is that we were waiting for as well, the break below that. So in a way, initially what I was saying, that we needed to see a nice good break below the 1.1190, and then we could see further declines. Currently, as you can see, the pair is breaking the 1190, the 1180, and now the next target could be around here, around the 1.1140, 44 zone, something like that. Also, just to kind of mention this little target here as well, if somebody maybe is looking at this, so this little low near the 1.1159, so basically that's the kind of the low of the 3rd of June. So keep your eyes initially on this one maybe, but like I said, if this fails, then yep, the other level that we're keeping a close eye on is the 1.1144, so keep your eyes on that one. Of course, for now, just looking at this picture, it doesn't look quite good for the euro dollar, and we could see this one sliding further down. If, let's say, at some point it decides to correct back to the upside, as long as it stays here below this 1.1190, we will continue targeting lower areas in the near term, or should I say in the short run initially, and then we'll see how it's going to perform. But eventually our target is going to be around here, around somewhere 1.1120 or 1.1110, near the lows of May. So keep your eyes on those. In terms of the upside here, well, we would need to see this one pushing back not only above the 1.1190, but also above this this previous tentative upside support line that got broken, as you can see, and only then we will consider at least some higher levels here. But for those who are more on the cautious side, what you could do here as well is keep an eye on this little area near the 1.1225, and we could see this one, if we see a push above the 1.1225, in a way there could be some more moves higher here. The only thing is that for us, let's say, to turn bullish in the near term, ideally still this level here remains for us the more important one, the 1.1280, and yep, that's where we're going to be targeting. Or should I say waiting in order to kind of consider higher levels in the near term. All these moves here, these are short term. For now, like I said, it is moving to the downside, but keep your eyes on the 1.1158, 59 zone. If it holds, we could see maybe a small correction back to the upside, but if it struggles to push above the 1.1180 initially, or let's say the 1.1190, then yep, another round of selling could be possible. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Trader's Espresso, as always, that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, I hope you have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.